The Ganymede mining facility wasn't much to look at, just another collection of pressurized domes and industrial scaffolding clinging to the moon's icy surface. But to Dr. Elena Santos, it represented humanity's first steps toward true independence from Earth. As chief engineer of the helium-3 extraction operation, she had spent 5 years perfecting the automated mining systems that would help power humanity's expansion throughout the solar system. She never expected it would attract the attention of the collective. The first warning came as a series of unusual energy signatures picked up by the facility's long-range sensors. Elena was reviewing the daily extraction reports when her terminal lit up with urgent notifications. The signatures were like nothing in their database, perfectly ordered patterns that defied natural explanation. "Control, are you seeing this?" Elena's voice was steady, years of crisis training kicking in. "We've got multiple anomalies approaching from the outer system." Before Control could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. Through the observation dome's reinforced windows, Elena watched as massive ships emerged from what appeared to be tears in the fabric of reality. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly iridescence, organic curves suggesting technology far beyond human understanding. The facility's AI barely had time to sound the evacuation alarm before the first shots were fired. The alien vessels didn't bother with warnings or demands. Their weapons, streams of coherent energy that seemed to ignore conventional physics, carved through the facility's outer defenses like they weren't there. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as compartments began to decompress. "All personnel, emergency protocols are now in effect." The AI's calm voice contrasted sharply with the chaos unfolding. "Please proceed to your designated evacuation points. This is not a drill." Elena ran through the rapidly emptying corridors, helping stragglers into their pressure suits. She had helped design the facility's emergency systems, but they had never anticipated an attack of this magnitude. The aliens' weapons were systematically destroying their escape routes. Santos to Earth Command. She activated her suit's long-range comm as she sealed her helmet. "We are under attack by unknown forces. Technology level far exceeds current human capabilities, requesting immediate assistance." The response came not from Earth, but from Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Hyperion, one of the 3 military vessels stationed in the Jupiter system. "Hold tight, Ganymede. We're incoming. Get your people to the hardened shelters." Elena wanted to tell them to stay away. The alien ships made their defensive platforms look like children's toys, but she knew humanity well enough to know they wouldn't abandon their own. The battle that followed would later be known as First Contact's Price. The UES Hyperion and its sister ships, the Theseus and the Normandy, emerged from behind Ganymede's bulk, their nuclear drives burning hot. They were the pride of Earth's Space Force, the most advanced warships humanity had ever built. Against the alien fleet, they looked like insects challenging dragons. But humanity had learned long ago that size and technology weren't everything. Captain Chen had studied the brief sensor readings of the alien weapons. Their energy weapons were devastating but followed predictable patterns. The aliens clearly expected their technological superiority to guarantee victory. They weren't prepared for human improvisation. "All ships, implement Scatter Protocol Delta." Chen's orders went out. "Lay down chaff patterns and prepare mass driver solutions. Let's show them why you don't corner a species that spent its entire history learning to fight." The human ships split up, each executing seemingly random maneuvers while deploying clouds of metallic chaff. The alien energy weapons, so devastating against stationary targets, struggled to maintain lock through the debris fields. Meanwhile, the human vessel's mass drivers, essentially massive railguns that fired smart projectiles at relativistic speeds, began their work. The alien shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, proved less effective against kinetic impacts. The first volley from the Hyperion's main gun struck an alien vessel's drive section, the tungsten penetrator converting its kinetic energy into a massive explosion that ripped through the ship's hull. Elena watched the battle unfold from the facility's emergency bunker, surrounded by hundreds of evacuated personnel. The aliens had apparently never encountered an enemy that would sacrifice elegant energy weapons for the brute effectiveness of accelerated mass. Their formations, optimal for energy weapon combat, left them vulnerable to old-fashioned physics. But the aliens learned quickly. Their ships began adapting, implementing new shield configurations designed to deflect physical projectiles. The battle evolved into a deadly dance of adaptation and counter-adaptation. The turning point came when the Theseus, already heavily damaged, executed what would become known as the Jupiter maneuver. Captain Ramirez used the moon's gravity to slingshot his crippled vessel directly into the alien flagship's blind spot. The Theseus's remaining mass drivers fired point-blank, their penetrators punching through shields weakened by the gravitational stress. The alien flagship's destruction seemed to shock the remaining vessels. Their perfectly coordinated movements became erratic, suggesting their command structure had been disrupted. The survival instinct, it seemed, was universal. As the alien ships retreated through their reality-tearing portals, they left behind more than debris. They left humanity with the certainty that we were not alone, and that we could hold our own against even vastly superior technology. The cost was high. The Theseus was lost with all hands, the Ganymede facility was severely damaged, and hundreds of civilians didn't survive the initial attack. But humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and emerged unbowed. Elena stood in the ruins of her facility's control center 3 days later, watching Earth ships arrive with aid and reinforcements. The attack had destroyed years of work, but it had also given humanity something invaluable: purpose. Dr. Santos, a voice called from behind her. It was Captain Chen, her uniform still bearing the marks of battle. Earth Command wants to speak with you. They're particularly interested in your sensor readings of the alien ships. Elena nodded, understanding the implications. Humanity would rebuild, but not just mining facilities. They would build ships, weapons, and defenses. The aliens had meant to crush human ambition. Instead, they had given it focus. "Tell them I'm on my way," Elena replied, taking one last look at the Jupiter system through the patched observation window. "And Captain, thank you for showing them that humanity won't go quietly." Chen's expression was grim but determined. They thought technology alone determined the outcome of battles. They forgot about courage, ingenuity, and the simple fact that humans have been finding ways to defeat superior forces since we first picked up stones as weapons. As Elena followed Chen to the command center, she couldn't help but smile. The aliens had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed that humanity's relative technological inferiority meant they were primitive. They hadn't realized that every human advancement, every technology, had been forged in the crucible of necessity and conflict. The galaxy had just learned an important lesson. Humanity might not have the most advanced technology, but they had something perhaps more valuable: the determination and creativity born from millennia of survival against all odds. The first battle was over, but both Elena and Chen knew this was just the beginning. Humanity would be ready for the next encounter, and the collective would learn that technological superiority alone doesn't guarantee victory, not against a species that had turned adaptation and survival into an art form. Admiral Marcus Jung stood before the holographic display in Titan Base's Central Command, watching as classified satellites across the solar system tracked the alien fleet's retreat. Behind him, the chamber hewn from Titan's ice rock crust thrummed with activity as personnel monitored systems that officially didn't exist. "Status of Project Watchman?" he asked, his voice carrying the weight of 2 decades of secrecy. Colonel Diana Wright, his head of operations, pulled up a new display. All 37 deep space monitoring posts remained undetected during the engagement, sir. The aliens have no idea we've been watching them for the past 15 years. The truth was, humanity had known about the collective long before they launched their attack on Ganymede. In 2157, a routine signal analysis by an amateur astronomer had picked up what could only be artificial transmissions from the direction of Proxima Centauri. Instead of making the discovery public, the world's major powers had done something unprecedented. They had kept quiet and worked together. Project Watchman was just the beginning. Hidden beneath the ice of Titan, protected by experimental quantum camouflage fields, lay humanity's real response to the knowledge they weren't alone. "Execute Protocol Revelation," John ordered, his words triggering a cascade of commands throughout the solar system. "It's time to show our hand." In the void beyond Saturn's rings, space began to ripple. What appeared to be empty sections of space suddenly shimmered and transformed as dozens of massive warships dropped their quantum camouflage. The Silent Fleet, humanity's secret insurance policy, was revealing itself at last. Each vessel represented the pinnacle of human military engineering, designed using insights gleaned from years of studying alien communications. They weren't as elegant as collective ships, but they incorporated countermeasures for every alien technology humanity had managed to identify. On the bridge of the fleet's flagship, the UES Prometheus, Captain Yuki Tanaka watched as her crew performed final system checks. Unlike the defensive vessels at Ganymede, these ships had been built specifically to fight the technology level they'd observed from the collective. All vessels reporting ready, Captain, her XO, Commander Jackson, reported. Quantum shields are stable, and the hybrid drive systems are operating at optimal efficiency. Tanaka nodded, remembering the years of training in simulators, preparing for this moment. Signal the fleet. Begin Operation Darkstar. Across the solar system, humanity's public military forces were still responding to the Ganymede attack. They didn't know that the real counterattack was about to begin. The Silent Fleet moved with precision that would have surprised the collective, their formations utilizing complex algorithms derived from studying alien combat patterns. But unlike the rigid, predictable movements of collective ships, human vessels maintained a degree of tactical flexibility that made their maneuvers impossible to fully predict. They caught up with the retreating alien fleet just beyond the orbit of Uranus. The collective vessels, already damaged from the Ganymede engagement, found themselves suddenly surrounded by warships that seemingly appeared from nowhere. "Open a channel to the alien flagship," Tanaka ordered. "Let's see how they handle a surprise of their own." The alien commander who appeared on the screen was clearly shocked, multiple eyes blinking rapidly as they processed the impossible sight of a human fleet that rivaled their own in size and capability. "This is Captain Yuki Tanaka of the United Earth Force," she announced, her words being translated by systems developed through years of studying alien linguistics. "I believe we need to discuss the terms of your surrender." The alien commander's translator rendered their response with a distinct tone of disbelief. "Impossible. Your species' technological level was assessed and confirmed. These vessels cannot exist." Tanaka allowed herself a small smile. "Your assessment was based on what we wanted you to see. Humanity learned long ago that appearing less capable than you are can be a significant tactical advantage." In the Titan Command Center, Admiral Zhang watched the confrontation unfold. Beside him, Colonel Wright was analyzing the alien fleet's reactions. "They're powering up their reality tier drives," she reported, attempting to retreat. "Execute containment protocol," Zhang ordered. The Silent Fleet's ships activated their quantum interference fields, creating a bubble of distorted space-time that prevented the formation of stable reality tiers. The aliens were trapped. What followed wasn't really a battle. It was a demonstration. The Silent Fleet executed a series of precisely choreographed maneuvers, using technologies that the collective had thought impossible for humans to possess. Quantum-shifted shields deflected energy weapons, while metamaterial hulls absorbed and redirected kinetic impacts. The alien commander's next transmission carried a very different tone. How long have you known about us?" "Long enough to prepare," Tanaka replied. "Long enough to study your transmissions, analyze your technology, and build countermeasures. We knew first contact was coming. We simply chose to let you make the first move." In the following hours, as the Silent Fleet escorted the surrendered collective vessels back to Saturn, Humanity revealed just how deeply they had infiltrated alien communication networks. They had recordings of collective council meetings, technical specifications of their ships, even cultural and biological data about their various species. "Your species is disturbing," the alien commander admitted during the journey. "You hid all of this capability, waited until we attacked. Let us believe we had superiority. Why?" "Because," Zhang explained in a subsequent communication, "humanity has learned through bitter experience that true strength lies not just in having power, but in knowing when and how to reveal it. We didn't want war. We still don't. But we will always be prepared for it." Back on Titan, as the Silent Fleet secured their prisoners and began the process of formal diplomatic contact, Zhang stood before a different display, one showing the faces of every crew member lost at Ganymede. "Was it worth it?" Colonel Wright asked quietly. "Letting them attack first, losing those lives." Zhang's expression was solemn. "Ask me again in 100 years. If this leads to real peace, to humanity joining the galactic community as equals rather than subjects, then maybe. But we'll honor those losses by ensuring it never happens again." The Silent Fleet's revelation marked the beginning of a new era in human history. The collective would soon learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their hidden fleet or their advanced technology. It was their capacity to surprise, to adapt, and to turn apparent weakness into strength. As Captain Tanaka composed her first official report to Earth's Combined Military Command, she included a quote from an ancient Earth strategist. "Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting." The Silent Fleet had done exactly that, proving that humanity's greatest victories often came not from the battles they fought, but from the ones they managed to prevent. The collective's high command had not achieved dominion over 300 star systems by accepting defeat easily. Their response to the Silent Fleet's revelation came 3 weeks later, when a massive armada of over 200 ships tore through reality at the edge of the solar system. This wasn't a punitive expedition, it was an extinction fleet. Commander Aisha Hassan of the UES Artemis watched the tactical display as the enemy armada approached, their formation spanning half the distance between Neptune and Uranus. Behind her, the bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, but she could sense their tension. "They're not here to negotiate this time," her tactical officer, Lieutenant James Chen, observed grimly. "No," Aisha agreed, "but neither are we." The Silent Fleet had been impressive, but it wasn't humanity's only surprise. As the collective armada advanced, they encountered something their long-range scans hadn't detected: the Lazarus Grid. Thousands of automated defense platforms, hidden in the Kuiper Belt, suddenly activated. Each platform was essentially a stripped-down quantum computer connected to a series of mass drivers and energy projectors. But their true power lay in their networked intelligence. Each platform learned from every engagement, sharing data and adapting strategies in real time. The collective ships found themselves fighting an enemy that evolved its tactics every second. "Lazarus Grid is engaged," reported Chen. "Initial effectiveness rate at 47%, and climbing as the AI adapts to their countermeasures." Aisha nodded. The grid wouldn't stop the collective, but it wasn't meant to. Its purpose was to force them to reveal their capabilities, their tactical doctrine, their technological limits. Every shot fired, every shield modulation, every maneuver was being analyzed by the most sophisticated combat AI humanity had ever created. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "Signal the rest of the fleet." The true battle for humanity's survival began not with an exchange of fire, but with a single transmission broadcast on all frequencies. It contained just 3 words: "Remember the Hydra." Throughout the solar system, hundreds of seemingly innocent civilian ships, mining vessels, cargo haulers, maintenance craft, suddenly transformed. Quantum camouflage fields dropped, revealing military-grade weapons and defense systems. The collective's careful reconnaissance had missed humanity's greatest deception. They had hidden their war fleet in plain sight. Every civilian vessel in the solar system was, in fact, A warship in disguise. Hydra fleet elements reporting ready, Chen announced, his display showing green status indicators from across the system. We have over 500 vessels in position. The collective commanders, watching their supposedly overwhelming force become potentially outnumbered, made their first crucial mistake. They hesitated. That moment of hesitation was all humanity needed. Execute Operation Medusa, Asia commanded. All ships, implement attack pattern Chaos 7. What followed was unlike any battle in recorded history. The Hydra fleet didn't fight like a military force. It fought like a swarm of predators. Ships moved in seemingly random patterns, their trajectories impossible to predict because each captain had authority to improvise within the broader strategic framework. The collective, used to fighting opponents who followed logical, predictable patterns, found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to operate on the edge of chaos. Asia's ship, the Artemis, led a wolf pack of destroyers through the enemy formation. Their quantum drives allowed them to make micro-jumps, appearing and disappearing so quickly that targeting systems couldn't lock on. Each jump was calculated to place them at the perfect angle to exploit weaknesses in the collective's shield geometries. Enemy adapting to jump patterns, Chen reported. Their predictive algorithms are learning our sequences. Then it's time for the real chaos, Asia smiled. Signal all captains. Initiative protocol is now active. Full tactical freedom granted. This was humanity's true advantage, not technology, not numbers, but the ability to think independently and adapt instantly. Each ship captain was now free to fight however they saw fit, bound only by the laws of physics and the need to protect their fellow humans. The collective's rigid command structure couldn't handle this level of tactical entropy. Their carefully coordinated fleet movements began to break down as individual ship commanders faced opponents who refused to follow any recognizable doctrine. The breaking point came 3 hours into the battle. The collective's advanced predictive systems, overwhelmed by trying to analyze thousands of independent tactical decisions happening simultaneously, began to fail. Their ships, designed to fight as part of a coordinated whole, found themselves isolated and vulnerable. They're starting to break formation, Chen reported. Multiple ships attempting independent reality tear jumps. But the Lazarus grid had been learning throughout the battle. As collective ships attempted to retreat, they found their reality tear drives failing, their coordinate calculations disrupted by precisely targeted quantum interference. The collective's command ship, a massive vessel at the heart of their formation, finally broadcast on an open channel. The alien commander's voice carried a tone that no human had ever heard from their kind before, respect tinged with fear. How? The alien demanded. How do you coordinate such chaos? Asia took the call herself. We don't, she replied simply. That's the point you never understood. Humanity doesn't need perfect coordination. We've spent our entire history learning to thrive in chaos. The battle ended not with a devastating final strike, but with a series of surrenders as individual collective ships realized the futility of their position. Their mighty armada, designed to fight wars across the galaxy, had been defeated by an enemy that turned unpredictability into an art form. In the aftermath, as rescue operations began and damage reports flooded in, Asia stood at her bridge window watching the debris of battle drift against the backdrop of distant Neptune. Send word to command, she ordered. Tell them the Hydra gambit worked. The collective's army is broken. Lieutenant Chen, compiling the after-action report, looked up. They'll be back, won't they? With something new. Probably, Asia acknowledged. But they'll never again make the mistake of thinking they understand us. And next time, she smiled, next time we'll have even more surprises waiting. The Battle of the Kuiper Belt, as it would come to be known, marked more than just a military victory. It proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their hidden fleets or clever technology. It was their fundamental unpredictability, their ability to operate in conditions that other species found impossibly chaotic. The collective had come expecting to find a primitive species playing at warfare. Instead, they had encountered a civilization that had turned warfare itself into a form of applied chaos theory. They had learned, at terrible cost, that humanity's apparent technological inferiority masked a far more dangerous truth. Humans didn't need perfect technology because they had perfected the art of using imperfect tools in devastating ways. Ambassador Maya Patel stood in the observation lounge of Europa Station, watching the approaching collective diplomatic vessel. Its crystalline structure caught Jupiter's light, creating rainbow refractions across the station's armored windows. The ship was beautiful, but she couldn't help noticing how its elegant design sacrificed practicality for aesthetics, a reflection of the very mindset that had led to this conflict. "They're requesting docking clearance," announced Station Director Xavier Rodriguez. "Their delegation includes representatives from 7 different member species." "Granted," Maya nodded, straightening her formal attire. "Let's show them that humans can be as civilized as we are unpredictable." The station itself was a testament to humanity's rapid adaptation. Built in the 3 months since the Battle of the Kuiper Belt, it incorporated both human and captured collective technology. Its design deliberately balanced function with form, a physical representation of the bridge humanity hoped to build between the two civilizations. The collective delegation that emerged from their ship was a vivid display of galactic diversity. The lead diplomat, a tall crystalline being named First Speaker Ixel, moved with liquid grace. Behind them came representatives of species that challenged human concepts of life itself. Beings of pure energy contained in environmental suits, silicon-based intelligences in mechanical bodies, and even a creature that seemed to exist partially in another dimension. "Welcome to Europa Station." Maya greeted them in perfect collective standard, a language she had mastered during the brief war. "I trust your journey through our solar system was enlightening." Indeed, Ixel's crystalline form shimmered with what Maya had learned to recognize as diplomatic amusement. "Your system's defenses are most comprehensive, though I noticed they're significantly more visible than during our last visit." "Transparency can be a form of strength," Maya replied. "Please, follow me to the negotiation chamber." The chamber was a marvel of human engineering, a perfect sphere suspended in the center of the station, its walls able to become transparent or opaque as needed. The room could simulate any environment, making all species comfortable while subtly demonstrating human technological capabilities. As they took their seats, Maya noticed the aliens' reaction to the human delegation. Unlike the collective's carefully chosen representatives, the human negotiators were surprisingly diverse. A quantum physicist, a cultural anthropologist, a military strategist, and even a science fiction author. "Before we begin," Ixel announced, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns, "my counsel requires understanding. Your species, you knew of us for years, prepared for us, yet chose to appear primitive. Why not simply announce yourselves?" Maya smiled. "Would you have treated us as equals if we had? Our studies of your transmissions showed how the collective treats developing species. We chose to let you underestimate us because we wanted our first true meeting to be between equals. By defeating us militarily, one of the energy beings pulsed with what might have been indignation. By showing you that technological advancement isn't the only measure of a species' capability," corrected Dr. Aminata Diallo, the anthropologist. "Humanity's strength isn't in our technology. It's in our adaptability, our creativity, our ability to turn disadvantages into advantages." The negotiations that followed would last for weeks. The humans presented their terms not as demands from victors, but as proposals for genuine cooperation. They offered to share certain technologies while requesting access to others. They proposed joint research initiatives, cultural exchange programs, and mutual defense agreements. But they also demonstrated, subtly but unmistakably, that humanity wouldn't be controlled or manipulated. When a silicon-based delegate suggested that humanity's military capabilities should be monitored for galactic safety, Maya played a recording from the Battle of the Kuiper Belt. It showed human ships using tactics that even now, months later, the collective's best strategists couldn't predict or counter. "You can't monitor what you can't understand," she explained. "Humanity doesn't fight like you do because we don't think like you do. Our chaos is our strength." The turning point came when Maya revealed humanity's long-term observations of the collective. She showed them patterns they hadn't recognized in their own behavior, rigid hierarchies that stifled innovation, technological dependencies that created strategic vulnerabilities, cultural blind spots that limited their ability to adapt. "We don't want to be your enemies," she told them. "We want to be your partners, not because we need you, but because we believe both our civilizations would benefit from cooperation rather than conflict." The energy being representative pulsed thoughtfully. "You could have destroyed our fleet completely. Why didn't you?" "Because humanity has learned that true victory isn't about destruction," Maya answered. "It's about creating something better than what existed before. We didn't spare your fleet out of mercy. We spared it because we wanted this conversation to happen." As the negotiations progressed, the collective delegates began to understand something profound about humanity. Humans hadn't just prepared for war. They had prepared for peace. Every tactical surprise, every strategic deception had been designed not to destroy the collective, but to bring them to this moment, this opportunity to reshape the relationship between their civilizations. "Your species," Ixal observed during a private conversation with Maya, "is terrifying not because of your weapons or your tactics, but because you see possibilities where we see only established patterns." Maya's response captured the essence of humanity's approach. "That's precisely why we believe this alliance can work. You have stability, experience, and refined technology. We have creativity, adaptability, and the ability to think beyond established patterns. Together, we could achieve things neither of us could manage alone." The final treaty that emerged from these negotiations would reshape galactic politics. Humanity would join the collective not as a subject species, but as a full partner with special status. Their military independence would be guaranteed, but so would their commitment to peaceful cooperation and mutual defense. As the collective delegation prepared to depart, carrying the draft treaty back to their council, Maya stood again in the observation lounge. The station's AI had calculated a 73% probability that the council would ratify the treaty. Not certainty, but good odds. "They still don't fully understand us, do they?" Rodriguez asked, joining her at the window. "No," Maya smiled, "and that's exactly why they'll accept the treaty. Because they've learned that not understanding something doesn't make it less valuable. It just means you have more to learn." 1 year after the signing of the Sol Collective Treaty, the Ganymede facility stood restored and expanded, but it was no longer just a mining operation. Its new quantum communications array stretched toward the stars, maintaining constant contact with dozens of alien worlds. Dr. Elena Santos, now Director of Xenotechnology Integration, stood in the same control room where she had first witnessed the alien attack that changed everything. "To think," she mused to her new assistant, a crystalline being named Ixvan. "All of this started because someone decided to shoot first and ask questions later. A fortunate mistake from a certain perspective." Ixvan chimed, their crystalline form resonating with harmonics that Elena had learned to recognize as ironic amusement. "Though I doubt my predecessors would agree." The facility had become a symbol of the unprecedented partnership between humanity and the collective. Human ingenuity combined with collective technology had yielded breakthroughs that neither civilization had thought possible. The infamous mass drivers that had first proved humanity's worth now incorporated quantum targeting systems, while collective energy weapons had been refined using human chaos theory to create unpredictable attack patterns. But the real revolution wasn't military, it was cultural. In high orbit above Jupiter, the UES Prometheus had been transformed into a joint training vessel. Captain Tanaka now commanded a mixed crew of humans and collective species, teaching each other their unique approaches to space operations. The sight of energy beings working alongside humans had become commonplace, each learning to appreciate the other's strengths. Contact from the Arcturus expedition. Alina's console chimed. Admiral Zhang reports successful establishment of the first joint colony. The news brought a smile to her face. The expedition, combining human adaptability with collective experience in planetary engineering, had transformed a barely habitable world into a thriving outpost in half the expected time. It was just the first of many planned cooperative ventures. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Maya Patel stood before the United Nations, delivering her report on the first year of human collective integration. The chamber was packed with both human delegates and alien observers, the latter still adjusting to Earth's gravity and atmosphere. "We stand at a crossroads," Maya announced, her voice carrying the weight of history, not just for humanity, but for all spacefaring civilizations. The old model of galactic civilization, rigid hierarchies, technological determinism, species segregation, is giving way to something new, something better. She gestured to the holographic display behind her, showing statistics that would have seemed impossible a year ago. Joint research projects had yielded advances in medicine, energy production, and space travel. Human chaos theory, applied to collective social structures, had sparked a renaissance in alien cultural development. Collective technology, refined by human intuition, had opened new frontiers in science. But our greatest achievement, Maya continued, isn't measured in technical advances or territorial expansions. It's measured in understanding. Humans have learned the value of patience and planning from the collective, while they have learned from us the power of improvisation and individual initiative. In the Titan base, now a joint command center for solar system defense, Admiral John watched the speech alongside First Speaker Ixel. The command center exemplified their new partnership. Collective holographic displays showed tactical data processed by human-designed AI, while human officers worked seamlessly with alien counterparts. "Your species continues to surprise us," Ixel observed, their crystalline form reflecting the holographic lights. "Just when we think we understand you, you reveal new depths." Zhang smiled. "That's because you are still trying to understand us as a single entity. Humanity isn't a monolith. We're billions of individuals, each with our own ways of thinking, our own approaches to problems. Our strength lies in our diversity, a concept we're beginning to appreciate," Ixel admitted. "Already, some of our younger members are adopting human traits, questioning traditional approaches, experimenting with new ideas. It's causing quite a stir in the council." The changes weren't without their challenges. Conservative elements in both societies resisted the rapid pace of integration. Some humans feared losing their identity in the vast galactic community, while some collective species worried about the disruption to their carefully ordered society. But the results spoke for themselves. The combined fleet exercises in the Oort cloud demonstrated the potential of their partnership. Human ships, upgraded with collective technology, but retaining their unpredictable tactical doctrine, worked in concert with collective vessels that had begun incorporating human-inspired flexibility into their operations. Commander Aisha Hassan, now leading the Joint Tactical Development Program, had coined a phrase that captured their new approach: organized chaos, the best of both worlds. Back at Ganymede, Alina and Ixpan were reviewing plans for the next phase of expansion when an alert caught their attention. The quantum sensors had detected something unusual at the edge of the solar system, energy signatures unlike anything seen before. New players entering the game. Ixvan wondered, their crystalline surface rippling with anticipation. Alina's response captured the essence of humanity's evolution. "Maybe. But this time, we'll face them together, not as enemies or rivals, but as partners who understand that strength comes in many forms." The alert would prove to be the first contact with yet another spacefaring civilization, one that would find not a divided galaxy, but a partnership that had learned to combine the best aspects of order and chaos, technology and intuition, individual initiative, and collective wisdom. As the unknown ships approached, Alina couldn't help but feel optimistic. Humanity had proven itself not just through force of arms, but through the strength of its ideas. They had shown the galaxy that true power lay not in technological superiority or military might, but in the ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow. The collective had come as conquerors and found partners instead. They had sought to dominate and found themselves transformed. And humanity, in reaching for the stars, had found not just its place in the galaxy, but its role as a bridge between different ways of thinking, different ways of being. First Speaker Ixel, in their final report to the Collective Council, summed it up perfectly. We thought we were teaching them how to join galactic civilization. Instead, they taught us how to reimagine it. Perhaps that was their greatest victory, not defeating us in battle, but showing us a better way forward. The new dawn that rose over the solar system was not just the beginning of a new day, but the dawn of a new era in galactic history, an era where the strength of civilization would be measured not by the power of its weapons or the advancement of its technology, but by its ability to embrace different perspectives, to learn from its mistakes, and to grow beyond its limitations. Humanity had reached for the stars and found not just a place among them, but a way to make them shine brighter for everyone.